Should start in a moment. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is Rebel One Live, and this session we're going to actually go global again. We have the CEO of Maria One. It's a co-working space and ecosystem builder out of in Finland. Helsinki. It has over 1,200 members and 150 startups that have raised over 180 million USD. And so thank you, Ville, for joining us today.
Thank you, Sergio, for the invitation.
Of course. It was great. We appreciate you taking the time. So I wanted to know if you can take some time and share a little bit more about your background and how you came to lead Maria One.
Yeah, thanks. Happy to do it. So, actually, if I think about my career in the past 10 years, so I've been in many different roles in building the startup ecosystem here in the Nordics and especially here in Finland. So, so in the beginning, I was co-founding and running 2 accelerator programs. So the first one more kind of a pre-founder program, and then the second one called Startup Sauna, focusing on early stage startups. And from there I went to do my own startup. So in the medtech industry, and then after that, there was a kind of interesting coincidence. So I actually ended up working for a larger organization. So did like corporate innovation, startup collaboration. So I built those teams and kind of built the sort of new business units for service business, but also for the financial sector as well. And so actually I did spend quite a bit of time there in the corporate world, and but happy to now join Maria's, which I did a bit more than half a year ago. So kind of coming back home, so to say, to the startup side.
Great. And for you, can you share a little bit more about what Maria One does and its role in the ecosystem?
Sure. Yes. So Maria 01. So we're the leading startup campus. Actually, well, campus is kind of name that we want to use in the Nordics. And like you mentioned, so we already have around 150 companies in our premises at the campus. And the amount of people working in those companies, but also the kind of stakeholder organizations is around 1,300 at the moment. So we're combining. Obviously, startups are the very kind of central thing in everything we do, but we also combine investors. So we have 12 VC funds and also angel investor organizations at the campus, and actually over half of the venture capital in Finland can be located from Maria 01 premises. And in addition to that, we also serve as a community for different ecosystem builders, as well as corporates and service providers. So we're kind of like an umbrella connecting all these different organizations under one community.
That's great. And what's the interaction like with the other ecosystems in Europe?
Yeah, so there's actually already quite a few similar campuses. I would say pretty much in all the European kind of tech focused capital cities, they have their own kind of a central hub or a campus. So we do work quite closely with many of them. We have a community, like a tech hub united type of a forum where we actually discuss quite frequently on different topics, and try to help each other.
And why do you use the term? You said and I saw it on the website as you talked about yourself as a campus. Do you can you talk a little bit more about the ethos behind that?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, because we're not just like a co-working space. So I mean, of course, we provide the space. So we have tenants for in private offices, but as well as we have the open space working areas. But in addition, so our community runs several accelerator programs. We do a lot of community events, and and so we do actually a lot more than just being a co-working space, and also our plans on the expansion. So currently we are located at an old hospital facility here in downtown Helsinki, but we have plans to expand that. So taking the other part of the area, and we're going to be building there over 500,000 square meters of new space. So and in that space there will be also a lot more growth companies, scale up companies. So therefore we see ourselves more as being a campus over to being just a co-working space.
Yeah, I checked it out. I love the entrance, the playfulness, the not a hospital, remaking the
Yeah.
space. Do you have any residents on the facility, and have you thought about actually making it, that type of a campus?
Um, you mean more like the hospital theme, or?
Oh, having not only different organizations such as businesses and entrepreneurs, but also work there in tandem, but also live there and around the facility. Do you find that people don't live in the surrounding buildings, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Yes, so at the current campus, so it's we pretty much have just the offices and the common spaces. But for the future campus, we're actually building also housing. So there's going to be it's not a hotel concept, but it's more kind of a concept where the international guests, for example, can spend there several weeks, several months. So there will be accommodation in the future campus. Also, there will be a lot more services as well. So restaurants, different health services. We actually do have a plan to have a kindergarten there as well, and hopefully also a sauna, since sauna is very much something that's from Nordics and Finland. But that's a really good point. So definitely, when talking about campus, there needs to be a lot more than just the office space. So we do have a lot of plans on that.
Great, great. So not only a place for people to work, but live around the facility and be there quite a bit. No, that's great. Similar to
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been to Grand Central Tech in New York. It started out as a floor in one of the buildings and then has evolved into more of an ecosystem. Not as extensive of a campus as your building, but I think this is part of the reason I wanted to highlight that for Maria One. It really being a nexus and community for startups. How did that vision come about?
Yeah, so we're currently still in the planning phase. There was we're working very closely with the city of Helsinki in this one, since they're the ones who actually own the facilities, but also the area. So we made a tender there to attract different companies for the construction part, and so we have already selected the company for doing the expansion. Also, the financing part is also covered. So now we're more kind of in the phase that where all the permits and the necessary requirements needs to be filled out, but hopefully we'll get that done by summer. and if things go the optimal way, then the constructions would be starting in early 2021.
Great, great. And can you share a little bit about what is this you shared the sauna's unique, right, to the Nordic culture. What other elements of this startup campus are unique, you believe, to the Nordics and to Finland?
Well, I think the hospital environment is a very unique part, since the Maria Hospital actually is the oldest hospital in Finland from 1880s. So we definitely want to have that vibe, and want to keep that sort of traditions and the history as part of the area. So definitely that's one really unique part. But I think in terms of the community, a very Nordic thing is also to have like this very kind of a open environment that's anyone can basically access. So that's also the goal with the campus expansion. So just having it as a place where pretty much like anyone can come. They don't even have to be affiliated within the tech industry or startups. They can just come and stop by and kind of get the bit of a taste of the spirit. So I think those are kind of the unique characteristics. And then maybe one more thing to add is that we try to have these community services as much as possible. So there's actually we just signed a contract with the brewery that's going to start producing their products at the Maria campus. So having like a sauna and a brewery, the beer ready, those are like very kind of Finnish characteristics to have.
Great. Would you say if there were entrepreneurs from other countries coming into the Nordics, or even from the US, or vice versa, what are things they should keep in mind in terms of the entrepreneurship ecosystem and culture if they're going to do business in the region?
I think the Nordic people in general and Finns are quite easygoing. So it's kind of in that sense it's easy to do business with startups and companies in here. But maybe as a kind of there's a bit of a different culture. It like with Sweden, for example. So for Finns, there's a certain kind of a period where you kind of form the trust and kind of Finns in the beginning might feel that they're not that talkative.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of takes some time for Finns to kind of get going, so to say. So and sometimes it might feel a bit kind of awkward in the beginning, but in general, I would say all the Nordics are pretty easygoing.
Great. So it's like a time to build that trust. Can you share in terms of the Maria One community? How do you think about impact? I know on your website you talk about having impact reports. You work with the government to stimulate the ecosystem there and use some of those facilities. So there's a partnership. How do you measure impact?
Great question. So that's something that we've been actually putting emphasis a lot recently. So trying to have also
Oh, Ville, I think
metrics
we're losing you.
impact report.
There we go.
Is it okay now?
I think we got you now. Go ahead.
Okay, good. So we did the first impact report this year. So where we actually research all the companies at the campus, and we did that research together with a startup company called the Upright Project. and they've developed a really interesting framework to measure the impact. So in their framework, they have like four main categories. So measuring the environmental aspect, the health aspect, society, and the knowledge. So we use this framework to have like a overall view of Maria companies, and that's got some really interesting results on kind of the areas that we're strong at and the areas where need to improve. So, but I think this is definitely a kind of a direction that will be there more and more in the future. So especially when we're talking about early stage startups, then kind of going beyond those traditional metrics and actually measuring the real impact. And it's very important for us in terms of the values that we see the companies entering the campus, that what they do really has an impact, and they can also argument what is the impact and how do they contribute to the society. So I think this is a very interesting topic, and definitely that will catch up more and more in the future. But we try to be in the forefront, kind of showing the way, leading the way of different types of way of measuring the impact.
Got it. And can you, shifting to the current situation with COVID and this global pandemic, how has that impacted the Maria One community?
Yeah, obviously a lot. So at the moment, we haven't really closed the campus, but we're in a kind of a silent mode that if you want to enter the campus, so you need to have the access card. So meaning that it's pretty much only the companies having an office or a desk there that can enter. And we did a survey, like a crisis survey for all the companies, and it looks like 70% of them are losing sales or have been losing sales. 40% of them are struggling with their current funding round, and there's several other kind of areas where the crisis has been hitting. For 40% of the companies, the hit has been already quite substantial, and for another 40%, there has been a hit, but not a major one yet. The rest of the companies are either expecting to see it in the future, or there's a small number of companies that actually the crisis has been increasing their sales, and then we're mostly talking about gaming companies, for example. So definitely it is a very challenging situation, and especially when we're talking about early stage companies, because their runway tends to be so short that and without any new funding rounds, the situation will get really difficult if it continues for longer. So it's tough, but I would say the biggest factor kind of showing how big is the hit going to be will be the length of the crisis, and especially this like a full lockdown mode. So it's very hard to say how we will play in the end of the day, but definitely it's a big struggle for many of the companies.
Absolutely. And before we continue, if you can share a little bit of the context about how the Nordics are doing in terms, I know we spoke a little bit about what was going on before we kicked off the live stream, but if you can share with the audience, how are things going in the area? Is there a lockdown still? And like, is everything contained? If you can give some color.
Yeah, sure. In Finland, actually, the situation is quite good. So the number of new infections is going down. So the R factor is already below 1. Finland applied almost a full lockdown in the end of March, and I think Finland was really lucky, since actually we were one of the last countries that the where the impact came. So in that sense, that helped Finland a lot. Sweden has actually adopted a very different strategy. So they're still they've kept their schools open all the time. There's actually restaurants open all the time. So they've been mostly just giving kind of guidance for the citizens, and only being kind of closing the necessary and the big events, etc. So it's actually it's quite different situation in different Nordic countries at the moment. But I would say the general trend in all the countries is that it's going for better, and then but then again, it's up to every country on like to what kind of time frame they will start to easen up the restrictions. But it's at the moment in Finland looking that from next week onwards, they will start to easen off the restrictions. So, for example, schools will open in 2 weeks. Most likely, restaurants will be open somewhere mid-May as well. So going for the better at the
That's
moment.
great. That's great. It's great to hear. And I know this is but do you have any hypothesis or a guess on why it's impacted different parts of the world differently, as opposed to the Finland? Um, sorry, go ahead.
Did I go mute?
Yep, you're unmuted. You're good.
Okay. Okay, good. I think that's $1 million question. It's I've been wondering it myself. So if you look at Europe, for example, so three countries that the crisis COVID has been hitting really hard, that are France, Spain, and Italy. And then comparing that to the northern part, like said, situation is very different, and we're not seeing even close to those figures what they have. So it's a very hard to say what is the real reason for that.
Okay. Definitely. Going back to the startups, I know you said they were having a tough time going through this challenge. What are some of the things that you are all doing as a community and a campus to help them through?
Yeah. So I think the biggest help we've been able to provide is that we were able to negotiate with the city on the rents. So we got a suspension for 3 months, so from April to June, and obviously we're giving that full help to startup companies as well. And we actually, together with the community, when we had this discussion to cover the overheads, we made a suggestion to our investor community that what if they would pay a higher fee during the time, just to help the startups to survive, and all of them agreed on that. So I think that's a kind of great way of showing that the ones in the community that are not struggling that bad, they were willing to put in more effort and chip in order to the startups to survive. So I think that's been the biggest help that we've been able to provide. and but of course, all the time we do whatever we can to help the startups in their funding rounds. So doing the investor introductions, the same thing applies for customer introductions as well. And then whatever visibility we can bring for the companies in this situation. And but I think it's the main point is having a really close discussion all the time with the community. So we're having these weekly calls with all the CEOs and the partners of the VC companies, and just going through whatever daily topics, and people sharing their kind of good practices there for the community. So that's also been really valuable during these tough times.
Great. And what do you see changing over the next, call it 12 to 24 months, Do you see what permanent changes do you see, if any?
Um, I think I think we're going to be seeing that there's going to be some of the verticals that are are um, are going to be losing their business for a long time. Especially we'll talk about travel companies and all the startups in the field of travel. Another one is events. Um, so at least I'm expecting that there will not be any big events till the rest of the year, at least on a global level. And for those industries, I'm expecting that even though it would like slowly start to come back, it probably will never come back in the same level as it used to be. On the other hand, I see that there's many different verticals that have been increasing a lot, um, such as the home delivery or the medtech sector or gaming, for example. And I'm expecting that all those verticals they will reach the level that they're growing in the future as well. So I'm kind of seeing that there's a bit of a going to be distinguishing between different verticals in the future, and obviously for the way of how to work in the future. So most likely there will be a lot more remote work in the future. There will be probably a lot more like a hybrid way of working. So maybe some people feel comfortable working at the office, but some of the people in the team want to stay remote. So definitely it will have an impact also for the co-working industry as well. And most likely companies will not be needing as much as the physical office as they used to have or used to need, and or at least there's kind of switching from a bigger office to a small office. So definitely that will have a big impact in the future as well.
Great. And can you share a little bit about what you believe is needed at a higher level to help stimulate startups and the entrepreneurial ecosystem in the Nordics and Europe?
Um, yeah, I think first of all, it's very important to understand that the kind of companies that startups are. So they're very different from small businesses, and kind of understand the dynamics behind that. And when we talk about funding instruments, for example, there needs to be different types of funding instruments applied for small and medium-sized businesses, restaurants, all that, and then for startups, there should be different kind of instruments. So first of all, understanding the difference, and then creating the kind of instruments that I think also boost the new investments. So we've already seen, I think, some great initiatives in the UK, for example, this new fund that they launched that is matching the government investment with private investments, and also there's certain criteria that the teams or the companies need to fill in order to get to that funding program. So funding instruments is definitely a very key thing. Another one is the people, and how to kind of for the companies, how to keep the talent in these difficult times. So I think governments should do more in order to make that happen possible. So people won't be having the pressure to lay off their great talent at these difficult times. And there's already good examples. Sweden, for example, has enabled a program where the companies are able to apply for this kind of subsidy for salaries, meaning that instead of actually laying off people or laying off 50% of their work time, they can apply for this program. and then the government is backing up and basically giving the subsidy in a way that the employees will get almost 100% of the net income that they used to have. So I think these are very good initiatives, and these kind of initiatives we need more and more.
Great. So while we close, if you want to share what's next for Maria One.
Well, obviously we try to now put pretty much all of our focus in getting over the COVID situation. So first priority is of course people's health and people being safe. We do have plans to open our space in the near future. So we still haven't decided the exact date, but I'm expecting that we'll be opening in a couple of weeks. Just making sure that we have the instructions, we have the space prepared, ready, so people feel safe to come back. And hopefully the situation will ease off, and then we can continue on the expansion plan, because that's going to be a huge project to build those new space for 500 new companies and almost 5,000 people. So hopefully we get to continue with that project, and the COVID situation is not postponing it or causing any other kind of bigger delays for that project.
Great. Well, thank you, Ville Simola, CEO of Maria One. I look forward to visiting the new Maria One campus as you build that out. One of the startup ecosystem builders out in the Nordics. This is Rebel One Live. So thanks for joining us this week, and we will be signing off. So thanks again. Thank you, Ville.
Thanks, Sergio. My pleasure.